do my little things. I feel like I've done something for the day. But at the
Yeah,
end of the
a
day,
lot of us do that. I would go even further to say, and this is gonna come across as a very harsh statement, but I would go even further to say that if you don't embrace that idea that I just shared with you, you are a derelict in your duty first to yourself, right? Because you've got a duty to yourself to live this short life that we're given to its fullest, and you just fucked that up. So you basically just ruined your life by not embracing that statement and doing the thing. You're a derelict to God or the universe or Allah, whatever you want to call it, because he, she, it has infused you with with a seed for all that you can become, and you're denying it. So you're basically saying, you know what, God, my fear is bigger than you and the power you've put in me. So I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to live in my corner. So basically you're saying, fuck you, God. And you're a derelict to all the people that would benefit from what you have to offer the world. Because really, when it boils down to it, the most important thing that we end up doing in the end is serving other people. So by you not taking action, you could say, okay, well, that's uncomfortable. It's kind of like, oh, it's not too cool. I wish I was cooler. Yeah, but you don't realize how dangerous that is. It's more than you just not being cool enough to do the shit. You're fucking derelict to yourself, to God, and to mankind. Get off your ass. Go and do it. It's your responsibility. You have to do it. Otherwise, what good are you?
I think I'm just going to have that as a continuous loop in my earphones. It's one of those kind of things you need it's this kind of, we ask for permission rather than just do it. We need, but that is what people need to do rather than just sit and go, okay, I want to do this, but can you tell me what I need to do? It's so painful when you read somebody's email and all they're doing is just screaming what, why, how, when. They don't just go, right, this is what I'm doing, I've ballsed this up, how do I fix it? And even that I find bad. Something I've often wondered about you, what do you consider, what are your vices in life? I've often thought, what do you eat on a cheap meal? I imagine with the sort of the workouts you do, you must eat like a horse. Is there something like, do you can't go to Mackie D's, surely?
No, my children don't even know what that is. They have no idea what that is. I guess my vice. Well, if I had to say, pinpoint it to one thing that I ingest, it's vodka. I drink too much. I don't drink nearly as much. There was one point where it was basically like almost a daily thing, and I realized it was getting out of hand. So I have to admit that I'm not the strongest version of myself. And 1-2 days a week, like I go and I really enjoy getting tipsy on some vodka. So I know that if I eliminate it, it would probably add exponential growth to certain areas of my life. And it's kind of been a hang up that every once in a while I fast from. I'll go 30 days, 60 days without it. But, I always go back. I guess that's sort of my comfort food, if you will. But otherwise, like junk food, I'm not into junk food. I'm not into sugar to any great degree. I could take it or leave it.
I mean, one of your recent videos about the guy wanting to lose moobs and belly fat, you were saying to cut out all sugar in your diet. So I started doing that recently. I actually hate you for it because you realise how boring, when you need the E numbers, you need the sugar, and I'm slowly getting through that kind of, what the hell are you doing to me, the kind of, image you get from your body.
Yeah.
Definitely feels tighter, I definitely feel fitter, more mentally focused, less sort of hyper. But it was a rough journey, especially the way we've kind of grew up, sort of, it's like a comfort food. It's more like something we need to survive off.
Yeah.
Which is horrible when you think what it does to your teeth as well.
Oh man, it destroys our body in so many ways. So many ways.
I mean, is there types of foods that you recommend to normal people? Is it just the usual greens, water,
Well, the very first thing is to eat food. Know the difference between what a food is and what a food product is, you know. So, for example, a chicken nugget is a food product. You see the difference between a chicken nugget and a chicken leg, like an actual piece of chicken. I think a lot of people are confused about that. It sounds strange, but we've come so far from the roots of nourishing culture, you know, what we ate as human beings evolving on this planet, you know, what grew from the earth and what animals we could domesticate, to going to the supermarket and buying boxes of stuff that claims to be food, and we can eat it and chew it up and it warms our metabolism, but really is not really food. So the very first thing I would invite people to do is like know the difference between what is actually a food and what's not a food. And then after that, I think it becomes very subjective at that point. Some people do well on vegetarian diets. I'm not that I'm a fan of it or I'm promoting it, but I see people that seem to be very happy. They seem to be pretty healthy, and they follow vegetarian diets. It's great. I see people who are really into paleo diets, and they seem to be doing great. And then I see people on both ends of the spectrum who are not doing so well. So it's like you're a vegetarian, but it's like, boy, you're sick all the time, and you look pale and gray in your face, and it's like, you probably need a steak. And then you got people who are paleo, and it's like, dude, you're eating tons of bacon, or, well, that's more like Atkins, but they just may not be well suited, the diet's not well suited to them. So you've got to pay attention. Eat food, but pay attention to the macros that work best for you.
I mean, I've got a couple of colleagues, you know, we've got one girl who, she sits there, she counts all her calories, but she never seems to lose a single pound. Yep. Or I've got my manager who was on the Atkins diet, but his breath stinks, apparently. Yeah. He's out of breath going up 3 steps. And you just think, really, you know, your body tells you, you know, you run to the toilet, you get stomach pains, you know what you need, but then people sit there and, you know, stick a cigar in their mouths.
Yeah, you're right. So it's not working for you, clearly, so do something else.
One of the things I was really interested in asking you was, what books do you read? Is there a couple of books that spring to mind that jumps out and says, oh, this is an amazing book, really inspirational? Is there something that you kind of took a lot of life sort of affirming behaviors from? Or?
Well, my 3 top books, because I was asked this question earlier this week, my 3 favorite books that I put at the top of my list. Number 1 is Mastery by Robert Greene. That just made its way to the top of that list, a few months ago. Fantastic book about becoming the strongest version of yourself. The second on that list is Essential Writings of Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I mentioned how profound and an impact his words have had on my life. And then The Language of the Body is a book that I'm consistently going back to nowadays, written by Alexander Lowen, and it really covers a lot of my ideas with regard to energetic strength, how the psychology of an individual affects their bodies, which in turn affects their character, which in turn affects their life.
Yeah, Mastery is something I've particularly been wanting to read for a while, and it's always recommended. Are you okay for just a couple more questions, just 1 or 2, or do you want to wrap it up just now? Or?
Sure, I'll take one more.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to know was, what do you consider your best things on your blog? You know, is there something that you would want people to go read just now? Is there somebody you've interviewed or an article you've written that you're particularly proud of?
No. You know, and it's funny, too, because someone asked me, I'm going to meet one of my mentors for the first time, face-to-face in a couple of weeks, and the person that's bringing us together said, if you had one video or one thing that, you could show him that you've been doing, what would it be? And I couldn't think of it because the type of work that I do is, the picture's so big and I'm producing so much content that it's more of a spectrum of information that you're going to become accustomed to. You get to know Elliott Hulse by watching lots of my videos and reading lots of my stuff. There are different pieces that you'll have to bring together in order to build the correct context. Sometimes I have to be careful because I'll make videos or I'll say or I'll write things that seem completely out of context for a lot of people. They'll be like, this guy is fucking nuts. What is he talking about? But if you've been around long enough, you see how the pieces come together. So I would just say that if you find the things that I talk about fascinating, that I invite you